During the summer 496 AD, Abu Lalayl al-Mukhalil was riding out in search of his brother Kulayb, desperately looking for him, since he had been said to have been missing for days now. Sadly, he is too late, and he finds his brother's corpse beneath it a message written in Kulayb's own blood. Through Jas's hands do I lay here, for the killing of a camel. Rain vengeance upon him and the tribe. Thus began a war that would span 40 years between cousins, over the killing of a camel. But was it truly over a camel that Kulayb was murdered over? Or were there any previous conflicts or bitter feelings left over from previous meetings? Was that camel secretly the lover of Al-Basus that led her to manipulating Jasus into killing his brother-in-law? Today, we dive deep and answer all that and more on today's Historical Quarrel.
We've gotten older. Wars haven't stopped. There's so much death and violence in this world. It all fucking sucks. It's Historical Quarrels.
Welcome back to Historical Quarrels. I'm your host, and not a legitimate professor, Tyler Eckhart. Today I'm joined by Keldon Lopez, who will be our co-host today. I'll let them say a little bit about themselves, and I'm going to go over some announcements this week after they're done talking. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name's Keldon Lopez. You can find me on Twitch at Kellord07. I'm in... I stream occasionally. Is the best way I can describe it.
He's got some fun streams, guys. He does the games.
Yep.
But yeah, depending on how reception goes for this episode, we're gonna fine tune up a few more things as we progress down the road. The format for now is just gonna be a teacher giving a lesson, and you'll be able to go ahead and interject during this, ask questions. I've done a lot of research. If there's anything that I don't know, I will go ahead and Google it, and there will be some quick edits that no one will notice, and we're going to slide in that information, pretend like I knew it the whole time. Okay?
Perfect.
Awesome. In the future, there will be a button that my co-host will be able to press that will be like a little raise the hand button. It'll be like, excuse me. That will just interrupt me as I'm talking. So it's going to be fun. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to everyone that has been listening. We've had a increase of over 300% in downloads and 500% in live listens, which is absolutely insane. Seriously appreciate it, guys. Thank you for listening and sharing this with others. Some of you may be joining us from the new TikTok page that I started. That has blown up a surprising amount. I did not realize it was, was going to do that quick. So, and the Instagram page, feel free to follow those. Give us a like, shout out. Also, I'm going to, make it a goal to increase the quality of this content by upgrading our equipment soon. And I want to hear from you guys. Please leave reviews on the episode. But that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into this. It's time to dive into this violent, camel-fucking 40-year war.
Alright, I'm gonna get ready.
Alright, everyone.
Sit down! Shut the fuck up!
So, to begin this episode, we need to understand what pre-Islam Arabia was like. Islam was a huge movement for the Arabian continent. But before that, there was a whole bunch of different tribes, nomadic or not. So we're going to need this context as to how the land and regions were developed at the time. It will provide insight to why the territories, despite our two tribes being primarily nomadic, became so important to them. The history of pre-Islamic Arabia before the rise of Islam in the 610s is not known in great detail. Archaeological exploration in the Arabian Peninsula has been sparse. Indigenous written sources are limited to many inscriptions and coins from southern Arabia. Existing materials consist primarily of written sources from other traditions, such as the Egyptians, Greeks, Persians, Romans, all those people. They didn't write down a whole lot of shit. It was... this episode was very hard to research.
It's like me in high school. I didn't take notes for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't give a fuck about notes. So oral traditions later recorded by Islamic scholars, those are what our primary resources are going to be. Many small kingdoms prospered from the Red Sea and Indian Ocean trade, Major kingdoms included the Sabaeans, Auson, Himyar, and Nabateans. These words are hard. I'd like some forgiveness.
Hey man, look, when I'm working, I'll go through tickets and there's just names and I don't even care to announce. I love the fact that I don't have to talk to people and I just copy paste their names.
That's gonna be so easy. That's nice. So due to information being sparse as far as historical documentation goes, much of what we're going to be talking about today is from a few resources, which can lead to errors on my end. Feel free to correct me, send me an email, tell me how wrong I am. I'll read it out. I'm prideful, but I'm humble. So I'm very happy to discuss and correct any of my mistakes. The first known inscriptions of the kingdom Hadramawt, God damn that name, Hadramawt, are known from the 8th century BC. It was first referenced by an outside civilization, an old Savaic inscription, Karavil Watar. Fucking, I shit you not, look at this. Look at that name.
Look, I don't even know how to say that.
Yeah. From early 7th century BC, in which the king of Hadmarut, Yalail, is mentioned as being one of their allies. Delun appears first in Sumerian cuneiform clay tablets dated to the end of the 4th millennium BC, so 4000 BC, so yeah.
Long time ago.
long ass time ago. And this is also where a lot of our story's going to be taking place, is the Loom Najd area. Okay. So, pretty important. In that 4th millennium BC, though, they found a temple of the goddess Inanna in the city of Uruk being towards the southernmost part of the continent. The adjective Delun refers to a type of axe as one specific official. In addition, there are a list of rations of wool issued to people connected with Delun. So it's just, they found an axe and they essentially just named it that area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like, Delum, it was on the axe or like something, so they thought that was what the area was called. And
like an actual wood cutting axe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a bottle.
No. They were pretty advanced, but not that advanced. They hadn't gotten to the level of female seduction that Axe body spray is.
Oh, okay.
Not sponsored by Axe. The Sabaeans were an ancient people speaking Old South Arabian language who lived in what is today Yemen and Southwest Arabian Peninsula from 2000 BC to the 8th century BC. This area is super important to us as well. They also are involved in a lot of trade and territorial disputes with the nomadic tribes that we're going to be going over.
Okay.
So, some Sabaeans also lived in Demit, located in Eritrea, northern Ethiopia. Due to the hegemony over the Red Sea, they lasted from early 2nd millennium to the 1st century BC. In the 1st century BC, it was conquered by the Himyarites, but after the disintegration of the First Himyarite Empire, the kings of Saba and Dukhradan, the Middle Sabaean kingdoms, reappeared in the early 2nd century. It was finally conquered by the Himyarites in the late 3rd century. And we're going to get into this a little more, but lots of destruction going on. The ancient kingdom of Aswan, with the capital of Hagar Yahir in the Wadi Mahkar, south to the Wadi Bahyan. Goddamn. It hurts my throat, man. Is now marked by a tell or artificial mound. That's how bad it got fucked up. It's just a fucking mound of dirt. Yeah. This entire kingdom, dude.
No.
Mound.
Well, I mean, dirt lasts forever.
Yeah,
so.
exactly, yeah. Which is locally named Hagar Asfal. I don't know what that means. I tried looking that up. Don't know what it means.
Okay.
So, once it was one of the most important small kingdoms of South Arabia, the city seems to have been destroyed in the 7th century BC by the king and Mukarib of Sabarkarib Watar. God damn, that fucking name, man. And they destroy so much shit, the fucking Watars. According to a Sabaean text that reports victory in terms that attest to its significance for the Sabaeans. This also points out another major issue for the historical context today. The region is littered with remnants of multiple empires, nations that just rose and fell throughout history, getting fucked up mostly by the Watars. Or just some other empire coming in, wiping it out, destroying any evidence or just any records that we could use to try and make sense of what was going on, just gets annihilated constantly. So, yeah. That's why it's so, like, there's this mystique to pre-Islam Arabia, and it's very, you know, mysterious. It's just, no one fucking knows what happened. Everything got destroyed. So, the Himar was a state in ancient South Arabia dating from 110 BC, conquered Indian in c. 25 BC, Kataban in c. 200 AD, Hadurat, again, lots of conquering. I know what I'm saying is like, you're probably listening to it and you're like, oh fuck, what? So, Himar conquered this area, Kabans conquered them, the Hammurats conquered them, and then Arabia conquered them, like, a different section of Arabia conquered them. They don't even have a name for that section.
Yeah, they just keep cycling through people.
Constant cycling. This is what leads us to their foreign trade and nomadic tribes. So the foreign trade is based on the export of frankincense and myrrh and Jesus. That wouldn't be for actually a long time, like 200 years from where our story takes place.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit about Jesus at the time. Not until Muhammad comes, then
they care about
they
Jesus.
care a lot. Yes. Yeah. So.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Jesus is not a thing in this story.
Not right now. No.
Cool.
Eventually. And some of the family members claim to be descendant of Adam. So that's direct genealogy. I was looking at it.
Dang.
Yeah.
They had like 23andMe.
Yeah, they essentially had 23andMe back in the day, and they were testing everything, and then because they get fucked up by the Huatars,
They don't have the evidence.
yeah, we can't prove that they didn't have 23andMe. So for many years, it was also the major intermediary linking East Africa to the Mediterranean world. This trade largely consisted of exporting ivory from Africa to be sold in the Roman Empire. The ships from the Himar regularly traveled the East African coast, and the state also exerted a considerable amount of political control of trading cities of East Africa. Essentially, they were the middleman between two great nations, and they found a whole bunch of means to profit a shit ton off of, all of that going on, being the main road that connected them.
Dang.
Yeah, I know, right? That'd be an amazing position to be in.
I know.
You have Empire A with all the money in the world, and Empire B with all the other money in the world.
And you're just sitting in between, you're like, yeah, they paid this much. I don't know where the other one.
Yeah. And then they both wonder, where'd all the money go? You're fucking middleman. This would also lead Romans and the Egyptians to have conflicts as well, and it was mostly over dominance for that trade.
Okay.
So it was dominance for that trade and dominance for certain areas that were strategical important.
Because they were somewhat close to Egypt, right?
Very close.
Yeah.
They were northwest of them.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about that. The Greek historian Herodotus actually had visited the area after he was done visiting Egypt. So, well, I found a little excerpt that he talked about. So, it's going to be great. So Petra, you've heard of Petra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Salah was the ancient capital of Edom. The Nabateans, which becomes Najd, must have occupied the old Edomite country and succeeded to its commerce after the Edomites took advantage of the Babylonian captivity to press forward into southern Judea. The migration, the date of which cannot be determined, even through the Bible nerds, no one cares, also made them masters of the shore of the Gulf of Aqaba and the important harbor of Elath. Here, according to the Agatharchides, goddamn, dude, Agatharchides, they were for a time very troublesome, as wreckers and pirates to the reopened commerce between Egypt and the East, until they were chastised by the Ptolemaic rulers of Alexandria. So, which is funny. Did you know the Egyptian rulers for Egypt weren't fucking Egyptian?
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah.
Cleopatra wasn't Egyptian.
They're Macedonians, so they're descendants of Alexander the Great. Yeah.
Which no one...
And, like, everyone just accepted it for some reason.
Like, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, that's my pharaoh. Yeah, cool. They're not from here, but yeah, cool. God damn. This leads us to the many interactions with the Romans. Okay. So, pre-610 CE Arabia, in the eyes of the ancient Romans, Arabia Felix, meaning Lucky Arabia, was a rich and exotic place at the limits of the Roman Empire.
Okay.
The incense and spices that grew in the south of the peninsula were certainly valuable commodities, but as far from being at the edge of the world, late antique Arabia, encompassing the modern countries of Bahrain, southern Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Yemen, was the central point between the Byzantine and Sassanian empires and the kingdom of Aksum, and this position helped shape its history and culture overall. So, despite Roman historians claiming them to be nomadic camel fuckers, desert-dwelling little bitches, Caligula's words, not mine. Again, Romans hated these people. Mostly because they had to pay them.
Well, so, yeah, Rome never really took over, like, they tried to take over that region a lot. And
they couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, imagine trying to move 10,000 people through the fucking desert.
Yeah. Especially when you're so far away from your already established cities and resources.
Yeah, like farms, and the farms are all protected by military.
Yeah.
There was no way they were gonna fucking do it, and they were pissed about it. So, anyways, that could not be further from the truth, as the vast majority of tribes had settlements. The entirety of Arabia had not unified as a single nation. Despite this, they had settlements that ranged from small outposts like Ja al-Yamama. I shit you not, it's called Ja al-Yamama.
Al-Yamama. Jal al-Yamama.
I'm not making a joke here. I will feed false information every now and then, but I will explain that it's false information. This is not false information. So, which is now just ruins to the Kayart Arfa, which was the capital of the Kingdom of Kinda. Again, not fucking with you, it's called the Kingdom of Kinda.
So it's kind of kingdom.
It's kind of a kingdom.
Until the Qatar came.
Yeah. It was one of the few oases in the desert, and so a large proportion of overland travel passed through the city. Its inhabitants, therefore, had access to imported goods, and some from as far away as Italy. So they had interactions with the Italians, the Italian Romans.
Okay, yeah, I just got back from there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how was that, by the way?
Good pasta.
Yeah. Did you see any Saudi Arabians?
No. Saw a lot of ruins.
Yeah. Okay,
and cats. There were a lot of cats.
Lots
in the
of cats.
Mediterranean.
Yeah. That was the cat button that we just pressed, by the way. So, the Romans did get one thing right. There were some nomadic tribes known as the Bedouins, and many of them existed in the region of Najd, as we've talked before. Najd is where our quarrel takes place. The pre-Islamic Najd region is home to Al-Magar, which was an advanced prehistoric culture of the Neolithic, whose epicenter lay in modern-day southwestern Najd. Al-Magar is possibly one of the first cultures in the world where widespread agriculture and the domestication of animals occurred, particularly the horse during the Neolithic period. Before climate changes in the region resulted in desertification, radiocarbon dating of several objects discovered at Al-Magar indicate an age of about 9,000 years. Some of the carbon dating and archaeological sites also found the tailbones of many a camel and sheep to be extra roughed up and shows extra bruising in the region, suggesting that the main method of animal domestication was through bringing their animals to satisfying orgasms, which caused the animals to...
Wait, so they were just like 1-2 punching these camels, and the camels were like, well, damn, I guess I'll stay.
Yeah. It would cause the animals to want to be closer to other humans so they could get the same treatment. Historians all agree that what was done was animal abuse. However, the fact that they were able to domesticate animals through this method greatly enhanced their chances of survival.
There's some Stockholm crap going on.
It led to major advancements in agriculture for that region, and argued the ends may have justified the means. Okay, if any of you thought that was real, by the way, started saying, I mean, if the people survived and the animals liked it, it's gay. First off, dumb motherfucker, I got you. Secondly, did you believe that, Kel?
I don't know how I felt about it. I was like, wait. Because I'm thinking, if they have evidence on bones, this happened a lot. Like, these animals would have been aggressive to show it on
consistently,
bones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I put that in there. It just made it sound a little more convincing, right? But secondly, bringing animals to satisfying and thrilling orgasms is absurd and never is okay at all. So just, I do not condone animal sexual abuse here on this show. I am going to make a shit ton of jokes about it, though. So get ready for that. Speaking of animal orgasms, I think now would be a great time to announce our very first sponsor of the podcast, Dead Inside Studio.
All right, ad time, motherfucker. Do you have a sad, plain, boring, non-tattooed skin? Do you want to have less sad, boring, non-tattooed skin? You need to get down to Dead Inside Studio in Salt Lake City, Utah, and hit up our boy Diego through his Instagram handle at Carrion Blossom. And our girl Lauren through her Instagram handle at alluring_arts. And get your sad, clean skin drawn upon by some amazing artists. Do you want the opportunity to say how annoying it is that people keep coming up to you asking what your tattoo means or what it is, even though it's barely ever actually happened and it doesn't actually bother you at all? I know our buddy Braden does, and that's why Tyler is getting Diego to give him a tramp stamp of Mr. Rogers pegging his anime waifu Hinata. That's right, Hinata. We will be getting this done just in time for Thanksgiving on November 15th and has never been so excited to go to Dead Inside Studio.
Disclaimer. He will not actually be getting a full-on permanent tattoo, but will be pretending to do so and have a sketch placed on his skin and nothing further unless he chooses to do so for a marketing campaign, depending on how okay he is doing it later. So yeah, Braden's going to be getting a tattoo on his lower back, commonly known as a tramp stamp. So, and if you want to see the video of that happening, I will be posting a video of all of it on November 15th on my Patreon, which you can find by going on to Patreon and looking up Historical Quarrels. I'll also have a link to it in the show notes. So if you want to support, I have a $1 tier and I have a $5 tier. The $1 tier gets you behind the scenes footage. The $5 tier gets you a lot more. I'll be doing live streams, Q&As. I'll suck your dick. Maybe. Depends. Probably not. That's prostitution. Anyways.
Remember, it's Historical Quarrels, not Quarries.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about, like, marble mines or anything. No, none of that.
Yeah, no. Actually, we might be killing.
Oh, we might be talking about mines. Oh, okay, never mind. I take everything back.
Okay. Anyways, in November 2017, a hunting scene showing images of what appear to be domesticated dogs resembling the Canaan dog and wearing leashes were discovered in Chouamis, an area of about 370 kilometers southwest of the city of Khail, which again, Najd region, dated 8,000 years before the present. They are thought as the earliest known depictions of dogs in the world. Also found near the same hunting images were depictions of men and women with animal heads and animal tails dancing around and copulating with one another. This is actually very common throughout our history. I don't know if you've listened to my bestiality random tangents episode, but there's a lot of pretending to be animals and fucking in our history as humans. So
pretending to be animals.
And sometimes just fucking the animals.
So, like, what people think is weird now was very common then.
Oh, no, people still thought it was weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
It just still happened.
It just happened. So, the Greek historian Herodotus had written about the latter images before and found a nomadic tribe in the region of Najd that still practiced this ritual and was invited to partake in it. Of the ritual, he wrote, I don't know what voice to give Herodotus. I mean, like, do you want to read this little excerpt here? Here, I'll highlight it for you. So, yep, there you go.
So what type of man was this guy?
Herodotus? He was a historian. He's the most famous historian in all of Greek history.
Here I present my own account of my darlings with the nomadic people inland northwest of Egypt. Strange were their customs, but not entirely foreign to me. They did not worship the same gods as that of the Egyptians. These gods seemed to be entirely focused on the aspect of copulating, while in a form that resembled to be half man, half beast. After spending some time with them, I was invited to participate in one of their ceremonies. I sought the wisdom of Athena on whether or not to participate, and was thus told to join. Before the ceremony began, I was brought to a tent where I was told to select one of the animal heads that were there. To my surprise, they weren't real animal heads and were instead made out of a material I had never seen before that was somehow firm yet squishy when touched. I selected a mask that resembled the Bull of Minos, which I was already familiar with. After the selection, I was stripped of all my clothes and brought before an altar and made to lay upon it with my buttocks exposed. They then brought out a peculiar object that resembles a bull's tail. As they slid the tail... As they slid the tail into me using an oil of sorts, I could feel the end being slid into me was made of the same material of the mask. After which, a few others lined up and received similar tails that matched the animal masks they were wearing. Once that was completed, some of the tribesmen began to beat on drums, and those who were in the mask began to dance as they greeted each other. They would make strange noises unlike I've heard before. The sounds seemed to resemble a yip or a liff or a mix of the sounds. Unlike any I've heard before. The sounds seem to a mix between the two and come out as a yiff. Once the copulation began between all of us in the masks, the noises would grow louder and louder until all that could be heard was a collective of yiff.
I feel like you're fucking with me. You're telling me a historian talked about putting in a butt plug. And yiffing.
This would have been like 2,500 years ago.
You're saying this actually happened?
No. Alright, last time I'm faking you out. Herodotus did not invent the term yiffing, nor did he participate in a furry orgy. However, many ancient people did practice orgy rituals at the time, wearing animal masks. Not made out of silicone, like I was implying in the notes.
That was what I was assuming.
Could you fucking imagine? Like 600 BC, we invented silicone.
Dude, you're like digging up a body and you like see the skeleton. There's just two
fucking dildo.
bags of silicones on their chest and something in their ass. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh man, that make history so less boring.
Imagine being historians like 1,000 years from now digging up people.
Oh man, yeah. But yeah, no, so they would wear animal masks to tell the story of one of their gods and fucking it. The Greeks did it all the time. Seriously, look it up. They did it a shit ton. Zeus would appear in the form of an animal to fuck whatever girl he wanted. So
orgies were very common in Greek and Roman history.
Yes. Incredibly common. It's, oh, hi Frank. That's my cat.
That's the cat button.
Yeah, he's the cat button. So... yeah, in ancient times, the Najd was settled by numerous tribes, such as the Kindites, the Tai, or Tay, and many others, led by the Uzma bin Luay. The Tay sacked the mountains of Aja and Samra and Banu Tamim in northern Arabia in their exodus from Yemen, circa CE 115 or AD 115, depending on how you like to, hear your dates. So, but if you say AD, it's that's fucking wrong. It's CE. So these mountains are now known as the Shamar Mountains. The Te Shamaris became pastoral, nomadic camel herders and horse breeders in the northern Najd for centuries, with a sedentary faction ruling the tribal league from within their capital city, Khalid. In the 5th century AD, the tribes of North Arabia became a major threat to the trade line between Yemen and Syria. The Himyarites, a Shia, decided to establish a vassal state that controlled central and northern Arabia. The Kindites, mentioned in Greek sources as the... I'm going to attempt this. Look at that.
At this point, it might be better just to talk and Google Translate and have it speak for you.
I would, but this is better. this is funnier. So, the Chinedacliptai, Yeah, that's as close as I'm getting. Gain strength and numbers to play that role in 425. The Himrite king Hassan ibn Akhmir ibn Tuba made Khuzir Akhil al-Mughar ibn Akhmir. It's a very long name. The first king Khuzir of Kinda. He's the first Kinda king.
Nice.
They established the kingdom of Kinda in Najd in Central Arabia. Unlike the organized states of Yemen, its kings exercised an influence over a number of associated tribes more by personal prestige than by
So whoever whipped out
coercive.
the biggest,
Dick,
prestige.
Actually, no, basically it was a dick measuring contest. in my script, that's what I had written. And this king won so much that people figured it was pointless to challenge him. He just had the biggest cock. I'm glad we thought the same. Anyone want to try? You guys want to just take it out?
I'll make you wear a bull mask.
Get on the altar! Get on it! Just imagine a fucking... That's how he intimidates people. So he's like, who wants to join the ceremony today?
Who wants to be on the altar? Who's the lucky guy?
I
don't want to be that.
Yeah, that's why no one challenged him. The Ghassanids, Lakhmids, and Kandites were all Kahani... Kahinahini. Oh man, I really attempted to learn how to pronounce most of these words, by the way.
Well, but then you'll move on to a completely different region of the world next time.
Yeah, next time is English, so I'm so happy for that. There's some German, but mostly English, which thrived in Najd. Now that we have a good overview of the area, where our quarrel takes place, and the history of it, I hope you guys understood. Just everything gets destroyed, essentially. And then nomadic tribes just took over because that was the easiest way to maintain and not have your shit get fucked up.
And when it did get fucked up, you were probably dressed as an animal.
Yes, more than likely.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Romans would come in and see you dressed as animals. They wouldn't be intimidated because they did it. So
Yeah. They would just politely leave and plunder everything else.
Yes. You come back after orgasming a few times, be like, everything's gone. The ultimate punishment. No safe word for that. So let's go ahead and get into our quarrelers today. We're going to have a brief overview of the tribes of Taglib and Bahir. And so let's go ahead and talk about the Taglib tribe. Beginning with the Taglib tribe, in the pre-Islamic era, pre-630s, the Taglibs were among the strongest and largest Bedouin tribes, so the nomadic tribes, in Arabia. Their high degree of tribal solidarity was reflected in the large formations they organized into during battle. So they're able to just go from 0 to 100 real fucking fast. Constantly.
They had a gun on their nightstand sort of situation.
Yeah, they were ready. Always at the ready. The tribe was involved in several major battles during this period, as early as the 4th century CE. The Taglib were within the sphere of influence of the Persian Sassanian Empire and their Arab clients, the Lakhmid kings of Al-Hira. It is mentioned during this time that the Sassanian king Shapur II sent Taglibi captives to live in Darin and Al-Khat, both in the region of the Bahrain, Eastern Arabia, essentially. So they captured a whole bunch of them, some the fucking middle of nowhere.
And they thrived.
Kinda, yeah. In the late 5th century, the Taglibi chieftain Kulayb ibn Rabi'a from the Al-Harith ibn Mura line of the Zuhair branch. By the way, family trees and genealogy actually is super important to them. Okay. So that 23andMe shit, actually pretty accurate.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So they there's a lot of, I wouldn't call it ancestor worship, but who you were descended from fucking mattered. So if your family, did important things, you want to make sure that you point out that you're related to that person.
Kind of like the Kinda king. He had a big...
You had a big dick, so if you're related to him...
Everyone else knew you had a big dick.
Big dick, yeah.
Okay,
so it was just assumed. You could have micropene, but because you're related to him...
They would just assume that...
That's big.
Perfect.
Girls wouldn't question it. Great time to be alive. But Kulayb will eventually be murdered by his brother-in-law, Basus ibn Murrah, and this is going to start the Basus War, which we're going to get into a little bit later. So, concurrent with the Basus War is the rise of the Kindite kingdom. So the kind of kingdom. They're getting even bigger. In central and northern Arabia, both the Taglib and the Bakir tribes became subjects of the kingdom during the reign of Al-Harith ibn Amir ibn Hujir, early 6th century. After Al-Harith's death, post 530, his sons Shuhabil and Salama contested the throne. Taglib and Yamir backed Salama against the Bakir, who backed Shurabil. So because of the Basus War, the two tribes become just like, they want to keep siding with other tribes, like other people against the Bakir tribe.
Okay.
So, but they're all under the same kingdom.
But there's infighting.
A whole bunch of infighting, civil war constantly. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, in the battle, the Basus War will end up ending mid-6th century, but the whole time they're still going to be supporting separate kings too, which is kind of important context. Not really.
So same kingdom, but there's two
the sons,
people who are saying they're
the sons of Al-Harith are trying to take over the throne, and there's this big
and they have
dispute.
different backings between the two tribes. Okay.
Yes. Saying a lot. I'm trying not to. I'm doing better, guys. I cut out a whole bunch of it last time, but I know I'm gonna have to again. So. Oh man, it's so hard. It's difficult. The Basus War ended about mid-6th century. We'll talk about that a little bit more after they signed a peace treaty. The Taglib afterwards would migrate further north along the Euphrates to upper Mesopotamia, known as the Jazira. After their chieftain Amir ibn Kulthum of the Tusham division assassinated Lakhmid king Amir ibn al-Hind in 568. As late as 8th century, Taglibi tribesmen glorified Amir ibn Kulthum as among the most preeminent of the Arabs of the pre-Islamic era, and noted his poetic skills, his struggle against the kings of Al-Hira, and his feats in the conflict with the Bakir. In 605, the Taglib and Bakir fought on opposing sides of the Battle of Dikwar, with Taglib backing the Sassanians against the Bakir. So
yeah, they've been fighting each other a ton.
Tons. And it's all because of a fucking camel.
Wait, so all this is after the camel?
That's all after the camel, and we're going to talk about the fucking camel. Okay?
That's what I'm excited for. Is fucking camel.
I know, but I need to establish what the tribes are like. So
okay.
And the Taglibs are just they have more of a they're less nomadic and more territorial. They're still pretty nomadic. They'll still move around, but they move around in a territory.
Okay.
Which most of the nomadic tribes did. They did have like a marked territory that was theirs. Bakirs didn't really give a shit as much.
Okay.
They're more free thinking, and Taglibs not as much. The Bakir tribe seem to ever be the instigators of many a conflict with their cousins of the Taglib tribe. However, the origins of these two tribes are very significant, as they are descended from the same parent tribe of Rabia. More specifically, the tribe's parent was Walil, and have much of the same origin story as their cousins as Adanites. So the Adanites, which is how they all refer to themselves, both the tribes, were a tribal confederation of the Ishmaelite Arabs, traces their lineage back to Ismail, son of the Islamic prophet and patriarch Abraham, and his wife Hajar, through Adnan, who originate from the Hijaz. Their lineage from him could be further traced back up to the prophets Adam, the purported first man of the earth, and Nuh, Eve. So, the founder of the first ship on earth as well. So Noah, the Islamic prophet Muhammad, belonged to the Quraysh tribe of the Adanites. So, another cousin branch to the two tribes.
They're all under Adam. Okay.
Well, they're all after Adam. The more specifically, they're from Ishmael, or Ismail. From him, that's where they're like, okay,
these important figures in history are.
Yeah, they're related to them, and that's important. It becomes more important with Muhammad's ascent to being a prophet. So, they're descendants from the same family tree of the Taglib tribe. They, however, had an emphasis on the more nomadic tradition of their tribe, whereas the Taglibs are much more territorial and agricultural while still being nomadic. Many interactions with the Taglib tribes were amicable, but they would have multiple disputes that would often need a blood pact or treaty to be made between the two tribes, so they wouldn't fight. It's a good thing back then. They did try to make peace, but they kept trying to fuck with each other. So, cause it's like
They're just passive aggressive this whole time.
really though, like that's what it really feels like. So one of these instances is when a Bakir tribe member crossed into Taghlib territory, traveling towards Yemen, and was struck off his camel via Iraq. This led this tribe member to go and physically assault the Taghlib tribe member who did so, not knowing that he was in the Taghlib territory. After which the Bakir tribe member was accosted and nearly put to death until the Taghlib tribe leader at the time put a stop to it and sent him back home. To illustrate the Bakir tribe's shenaniganish nature,
So this guy drove into the wrong neighborhood.
he ran into the wrong
got knocked off his car.
and then
He fought back, and they said, "No, you're in our neighborhood."
yeah, you're in our neighborhood. You need to back
and
the
then
fuck
sent him
off.
back.
Yeah,
But
and
they were gonna kill him.
they were gonna kill him, but the tribe leader had enough insight to not.
And sent him home.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he's like, we don't want to
We don't
necessarily
want
do
a
this.
gang war.
Yeah,
I see how-
it's Crips and Bloods. They're like, wait, let's not kill this motherfucker. Let's just send him back, bruised and fucked up, but let's send him back. Don't kill him.
Yeah, we're not backing down on our territory.
Yeah. We teach him a lesson, and this guy actually they stopped going through their territory afterwards.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I found a story of the tribe leader Tarafar Bakir and his interaction with the king of Al-Hirat. So, Al-Hirath. Tarafa was the half-brother and nephew of the Elias Al-Krik bint Babir, and Elias is kind of like merchant king, not really like a merchant king, but very important.
A wealthy merchant. kind
Yeah.
of, with influence.
A merchant with influence.
Bezos.
Yeah. Jeffrey Bezos. He was half brother of Jeffrey Bezos. He traveled with his uncle Mutalamis to the court of king of Al-Hira, Amir ibn Hind. Again, long fucking names. I'm gonna try and say them all because it's important, because sometimes the names can just change by one word. I've noticed it's a completely different person, but if I miss that one word, you won't know.
Okay, so you've got like Michael, and then you got like Michael Jr. sort of situation. Got it.
And then you have Michael Jr. the third.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it happens so much. Anyways, according to one legend, having ridiculed the king in some verses, he was sent with a letter to the ruler of Bahrain for what he said he would be punished, and he just didn't check the letter. So we'll get into that here in a second. Tarafa's bitter tongue was destined to cost him dear. Fatigued and disgusted by the rigid ceremony of the court, he improvised a satire in which he said, and this is like he's just spitting out verses. So like more Crips and Blood material here. Like this motherfucker's like diss tracking them.
Dang.
So he's like, would that we had instead of Amir, a milk ewe bleeding round our tent. So he's like, I'd rather listen to this fucking ewe
Dying.
spit shit, yeah.
Then what's
you.
going on here?
Yeah.
And this was the guy that didn't open his mail.
Yeah. yeah. That is very important. You'll see. Shortly afterwards, he happened to be seated at the table opposite of the king's sister, and he was struck with her beauty. So he went ahead and just shouted, "Behold, she has come back to me, my fair gazelle whose earrings shine. Had not the king been sitting here, I would have pressed her lips to mine." Motherfucker was like bold, to say the least. So Amir ibn Hind was a man of violent and implacable temper, so the king.
So he's mad. He's
Yeah,
like,
and he had a reputation.
Respect in my house.
The worst part is this motherfucker had a reputation for being mad, and
This
Tarafa
dude still like poked the
went ahead and
bear.
poked the fucking bear. So again, this is me pointing out like why the Bakir tribe, like they like to instigate shit. They're fucking instigators, man. Anyways, Tarafa's satire had already been reported to him, and his new impertinence added fuel to his wrath. Sending for Tarafa and Mutalamis, he granted them to leave to visit their homes. So he's like, go ahead and go home.
I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Out.
And gave each of them a sealed letter addressed to the governor of Bahrain. When they had passed outside the city, the suspicions of Mutalamis were aroused, as neither he nor his companion could read. He handed his own letter to a boy of Kira, and learned that it contained orders to bury him alive.
Holy shit.
Mutalamis did this, Thereupon, he flung the treacherous missive into the stream and implored Tarafa to do likewise. Tarafa was like, nah, fuck that dude. He refused to break the royal seal. He continued his journey to Bahrain, where he was thrown into prison and executed.
Wait, so the guy who doesn't open his mail didn't open the mail that said to kill him.
Well,
so
like,
he lived for like a few more days.
I'm pretty sure he just thought his uncle was going to get fucking killed and he was going to get away with it.
So his uncle opens his mail, dies because of it.
No. He lives. So his uncle lives.
Okay.
Because he had his errand boy, Hira, read it, because neither him nor Tarafa could read.
Okay.
And Hira essentially says, yeah, if you take this to the governor, it's going to say the king orders the governor to bury you alive and kill you.
And so he's like, I'm going to get rid of my mail.
And he threw it in the river.
Okay.
And then he tells his nephew, Tarafa, to do the same. He's like, dude, you need to get rid of this.
But he didn't.
And Tarafa's like, no, fuck that, dude. I know.
It's like, no, this is a bill. I ain't looking at it. Bills don't exist if I don't.
I don't fucking care. Like, what's that bitch going to do?
Kill you.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand how pig-headed someone has to be, or like just stern or stubborn. So as you can see, this man had a big mouth on him and fucked around and found out. While I will not generalize each clan leader of Bakir to be the same, it does seem to that their side happens to be the main instigators of fights between them and the Taglib tribe, even in the instance that we're going to be going over today. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get into the Al-Basus War. Now we get into the Al-Basus War. To put it simply, the Al-Basus 40-year war was started over the death of a camel. Not just any camel, however. This camel was one that Al-Basus had been romantically involved with for many years prior to its death. Al-Basus and her camel, Ar-Rimzal, had been together for over 20 years at this point, and despite Ar-Rimzal being near the end of her life, she was still a strong and passionate lover to Al-Basus, bringing her to multiple satisfactory orgasms daily, and was in fact domesticating Al-Basus to the point where she begun to understand camel. Obviously, I'm just fucking around.
Yeah, I was like, the moment she was speaking camel, I was like, nah, something's wrong there.
That's when, not the camel bringing her to orgasm.
Listen, there's enough weird shit on the internet. You never know.
Yeah, you got one there.
People are doing weird shit for thousands of years.
Dude, seriously. It's so crazy. And by the way, if any of you didn't find that funny, I did. I'm also beginning to wonder if I am a furry because of all the animal sex jokes that I'm making this episode. But I digress. Unlike many wars, whose origins are complex to say the least, there's no doubting the initial source of the quarrel here. It all started when a lady named Al-Basus, who belonged to the Bakir tribe, went to visit her niece, Jalia bint Mura, and her brother Jassis ibn Mura. Now Jalia, the niece, was married to the leader of another tribe, the Taglibs, the proud man called Kulaib, who I mentioned before. As was the custom, the three visitors arrived by camel, and Basus let her beast free to wander about and explore. She's like, go ahead, just fuck around.
So she's married to the guy that dissed the king.
No. So this was like, that was before all this started. So like, this was still while Al-Khirath, the Tarafa was while Al-Khirath was alive.
Okay.
The sedition between the two brothers is starting to take place now for the Al-Basus War.
Okay. The letters have already happened.
Yeah, that shit already happened.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Kulaib, however, was famously protective of his territory and possessions. So upon seeing an unknown female camel among his own animals, he promptly retrieved his bow and arrow and killed it. Yeah. He was like, it's not mine. I understand right now you're probably thinking to yourself, why the hell didn't he just see it as a win and try to keep the camel as his own? You know,
or at least have visitor parking.
Right, yeah, like, woohoo, I got myself a free camel. Sweet. Well, what you don't understand is that the Taglibs were considered to be the rednecks of their time and didn't take kindly to strangers. Due to the Taglib tribe being direct descendants of not only Adenites, but also the lesser-known Sumerians, who constantly had necks that looked red and thus were called the redneck Sumerians. I know, right? The redneck Sumerians, unlike their brothers, were a kingdom that spawned what seemed to be the poorer and slightly more aggressive Sumerian population. So they're spawned out of that. They had a talent for fighting senseless battles and were constantly at odds with anyone that would try to enter their lands and take their jobs. You know,
Oh my god. How much of this is just BS?
so it was in common fashion there. So the Sumerian part is true. Like, they have Sumerian DNA, but
But they're not redneck.
not necessarily. No.
Okay.
But one could argue that's why they're more territorial.
Okay.
So it's common fashion in their time for the Taglib people to go and get their bows and arrows and shoot up anything entering their territory. So when Kulayib saw this camel and his Arabian redneck, well, when he saw the camel, his Arabian redneck DNA demanded a tribute of blood be paid for the insult of it crossing into the land.
Wow.
Into their land.
Not
Al-Basus.
in my house.
Yeah, no, you better get that out here. You better get boy. Al-Basus soon learned about this and was not happy. So much so, in fact, that she summoned her nephew Justice and demanded he fight for her honor. She was like,
Oh, dang.
bitch, this motherfucker killed my camel. You better, like, stick up for me. And if you don't, you little pussy. Justice, being a little bitch, heeded his aunt's instructions and slayed the camel, killing Kulayib by throwing his spear into his back while he wasn't looking. Fucking bitch move.
So yeah, there was no duel. He just walked up and shanked him from behind.
Shanked him, yeah. He
Just prison shanked him with a big stick.
with a big ass spear. Huge bitch move on his part. This set in motion a series of tit-for-tat attacks and killings between the two rival tribes. As Kulayib's brother, after finding his corpse beneath a stone wall, with a poem essentially saying the Bakir tribe did it.
Yeah,
So-
this is the blood story.
yeah, the blood story, yeah.
Okay.
So, decided to do some of the most hardcore metal shit ever, and starts off their battles by saying that the life of his brother was equivalent to the life of every member of the Bakir tribe.
Damn.
Yeah. And by the way, Kulayib didn't just, like, straight up die from getting speared. This motherfucker survived for, like, 2 days and was, like, trying to, run away and, like, get to his brother.
That's wild.
I know.
In his final moments, he's like, "Nah, I ain't getting
And
back."
so,
he just
yeah,
left a message
He left a message after
Wild.
bleeding out.
for 2 days.
Yeah. And some people say, like, a shepherd found him and just said that he couldn't help him, but then brought the message to Al-Mukhalil, who is, or Zir Salim.
So whether the actual blood message happened or not is
Yeah,
debatable.
it's debatable, but
Okay.
I like it. I think that's way more hardcore.
Yeah, that is way hardcore.
Yeah, it's a better story.
Yeah, he's definitely worth all their lives. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
exactly. Yeah, motherfucker lived for 2 days with a spear in his bag. Like, so after he said that, legend has it an ally of the Bakir tribe sent his son to see the Taglib tribe in lieu of sending Jasus due to Zir saying that Jasus wouldn't be enough. So they had an allied tribe's leader Al-Khirath send his son with a goat. So we're supposed to see a sacrifice of a goat, and thus, in keeping with local customs at the time, it would bring the bloodshed to an end, right? Like,
The peace.
yeah, like here, this is our peace offering. We don't.
It's a peace goatee.
Yeah, well, and more or less, they didn't really care if they fought the Bakir tribe as much. They just didn't want to get involved, and they wanted to try and broker peace between the two tribes because
Okay.
they were fierce allies with the Bakirs, and they're like the best way to deal with this is to try and get out of it. Man was smart. However, Zir Salim, Kulayib's brother, wasn't having any of that shit interfere with his revenge, and he gave two shits if Al-Harith ibn Khabad went against him as well.
Wild.
So, Zir had Al-Harith's son fucking beheaded and sent back to him. Yeah!
This
Dude, this is like
this
Game of...
mofo was like, "I'll take you both on,"
Dude.
rather than be like, "Sure, I'll be at peace with you, and
No.
I'll continue fighting the other guy."
That is exactly what he did. This motherfucker... This is like Game of Thrones shit. Like, seriously. And there's a TV series called Zir Salim that goes over all of this.
Dang.
It's all in Arabic, and I cannot understand it, unfortunately. I tried watching a few episodes. I didn't get anything out of it. I went ahead and just like looked through books to get this story.
Okay.
And they all essentially just tell the same story. So I found different little tidbits to talk about in here. So you're getting a little more than you'd normally get just researching this through Wikipedia. So, so after he beheaded him, that would bring Al-Harith into the war and his entire tribe.
Wow.
Al-Harith also vowed to not rest until all of the Taghlib people had been wiped from the fucking earth.
So now 2 tribes are like, nah, you're all dying.
Yes.
Was this the tribe that initially killed the camel, or the tribe that had the camel?
Al-Harith was no, so the Abads were not part of that at all. So
so like the one that's like, I'll take you both on. Was that the camel killing tribe or the camel owning tribe?
The camel killing tribe.
Okay, so I'll take you both on.
Yeah, so the Taghlibs killed the camel, but it's because the camel was in their territory, and Al-Basus fucking knew that he was territorial as fuck, and should have just like kept her camel
Nearby. Visitor parking.
And instead, just like, no, I go graze and fuck up their grass and like their area, go eat what the other camels are eating, and Kulaib was like, no.
And that's when he got mad. So now he's like, I'll take you both on for disrespecting me.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Well, Kulaib gets killed, and that's when Al-Mukhalil or Zir Salim. So he gets called 2 names. His historical name is Al-Mukhalil, but the story name is Zir Salim.
Okay.
Which is more of the mythological kind of legend name. So it gets a little tricky when you're researching it, by the way. Al-Mukhalil is a little bit more historically accurate, and they have a little bit more of a, like good details about him, and not these like made up, like, oh, he was, fucking
a god amongst men.
His sword was on fire, and
okay, yeah,
all this shit. Yeah, no, Al-Mukhalil, he was a normal person. He was pretty smart, not that smart though. He was still also very pig-headed. And, yeah. Anyways, Al-Harith, after all that was happening, he also went ahead and did some metal shit. He had every single one of his men shave their heads, and then shaved off the tails of each of their horses, which in tradition just meant you're going to war and you're gonna not stop until everyone is dead of like a certain people. Yeah, just doing all that. So. And then he also swore that he wouldn't stop killing the Taghlib tribe until the earth spoke to him.
Wow.
Yeah. I get it. I don't know how many of you have come close to that feeling of pure blinding rage before. I have, from my own experience. It's led me to do things I didn't know I was capable of. When I was 10, I was essentially forced into a fight that I didn't really want to be in, but this kid ended up just sucker punching me. It was in the backyard of this kid's house too. And he sucker punches me, and I just remember like seeing red and like going crazy for a little bit. And I got behind him, and I remember wailing on his head.
Ding.
And to the point, I just wasn't stopping until someone had to like rip him off me. And this kid had about 60 to 70 pounds on me, easy.
Wow.
By the way. And so as I'm wailing on him, and I get taken off, you can see blood on the back of his head. And he's left with a permanent indentation of my middle knuckle.
Jeez.
It's still there.
Tyler and the Goliath.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I don't know if he just felt bad and that's why he wasn't like fighting back as hard, because he probably could have fucked me up. I was pretty quick though. I was pretty nimble, so yeah. I remember like I got so mad, and I had to be pulled off and like physically restrained for probably about 10 to 15 minutes still.
Jeez.
It was bad, man. So imagine, I imagine if my son's head was sent to me, I'd do the same fucking thing.
Yeah, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, it would be, I would gather as many allies as possible, and I'd kill everyone that was involved in that.
Yeah.
So, I get it.
Yeah.
Personally, I get it, and I can see why this leads him to slaughtering so many people. So.
Hey, spoilers. We're not to that part yet.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Fortunately for me, this kid's mom and my mom were best friends growing up. So when the mom saw, she didn't press charges, thank God. I probably would have been sent to juvie. It was bad, man.
Dang.
It was real bad. And remember how awful I felt later, and I decided I was never going to let myself see red again, is what I said. Thankfully, I haven't gone anywhere near that level. I've gotten pissed and I've gotten into fights, but nothing to that crazy. I lived in a very tiny town. I've told you about Connell before, so yeah, it's just there wasn't a lot to do there besides sports, school, fight, and drugs.
So for those wondering, Tyler went from a barbarian class where he could go into a rage into another class.
Yeah, I multi-classed. What would you say my class is now? Like rogue because because junior high I'd like steal shit from Walmart and I had the klepto club. Yeah, I went to rogue class. That was a barbarian rogue. That's a weird mix.
That's not a great mix.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I can see how this rage ends up getting him to wipe out quite a bit of the Taglib tribe. So in a few of the battles, Al-Harith is said to have killed 20 to 30 men by himself.
Wow.
I know. I want you to imagine that. And this is back in the fucking day. Like, you had swords, and there, in some of the accounts and the records, he was said to have just like gone out to battle himself, riding his horse, and he'd come back with 20 to 30 heads by himself.
That's insane.
I know. I cannot like imagine being able to do that. And he'd have like arrow wounds or like other wounds, and he just fucking he didn't care.
He wanted to stay out of this from the beginning, and now he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna take you on myself.
They woke up a fucking monster.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. No, he is a badass motherfucker. That being said, towards the end of the war, after all three tribes lost, they lost most of their tribe.
All of them.
All of them did.
Okay.
They were getting close to extinction, essentially. I know. During one of the many battles, Al-Harith did eventually avenge his son, and he killed Zir Salim, but Zir Salim had gotten revenge for his brother and killed Jasus. So, it was about 2 to 3 battles after Zir Salim had killed Jasus, and then Zir Salim was going to try and just go and kill a whole bunch of innocent Bakir tribes. They enter into a battle. Al-Harith comes in, sees him, chases him for, I think, 5 miles, and then beheads him.
Okay.
So,
they all kind of got what they wanted.
I know. It makes you feel a little better about it. There's not one little bitch that got away. Al-Harith, I feel deserves his vengeance the most, and to not get fucked with afterwards.
Yeah.
So however, he was still rightly pissed off, and his oath was still in effect, despite the fact that he killed Zir Salim, and only stopped fighting after a well was dug up by the Taglib tribe this was near a trail that he routinely walked, in his area. So they went and dug up a tribe, and one man of the Taglib tribe hid in there while Al-Harith was passing and sang a poem from it, asking for peace. Imagine that poem went hey dog, sorry that your son got killed, but
he's supposed to be the earth speaking to him.
Yeah. he's pretending to be the earth. He's like, hey, so yeah, your son died and everything, but you got the guy. Killed him. We should probably stop this, man. This been going on for about 40 years now. It's been a long time.
Which is wild.
40 years, dude. I think
how old was this dude?
By the end of it, he was around his 60s.
And this dude is just cutting people down.
Still.
Wow.
I know.
That's crazy.
Old as fuck. And so he kills Zir at the cusp end of the war, the year 38 of the war, he kills Zir.
Dang.
So it took that long for them to get their revenge for all of them.
This is
they were all old
dude
men
from Taken, but thousands of years before.
Way more ripped, obviously. This guy, fucking insane. He just didn't stop. He was a machine on the field. Even up to year 38 of the war, he was said to have just cutting down people in the dozens.
Dang.
So, fucking wild, man. Al-Harith is a fucking legend of a man. But yeah, after he sang that poem of peace, Al-Harith is yeah, fine. The condition, it happened. I'm tired. I got my revenge, honestly. I'm glad someone did this, because now I don't have to, fulfill my oath.
Yeah.
So, after that, the oath was spoken to him. He stopped and peace was made for a little bit. However, due to that 40-year-long war, the Taglib and Bakir tribes would remain at odds and support rival kings, as I had mentioned earlier, and to keep the fighting going for the next few centuries.
So they never learn their lesson. They're just bickering siblings the entire time.
Yeah. At least for this, it was more of who should rule over them. So it was a little bit more understandable than just a camel fucking died.
Wow.
I know. So eventually, though, after Muhammad was born, he goes around and starts conquering most of the area, and he brings peace and unification to all the tribes.
Okay.
So that piece is what ends our quarrel today. So let's go ahead and get out of this and get into our next segment, the review time.
Hey, sit the fuck back down. it's time for a review.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our review, our thoughts and takeaways. So let's go ahead and first ask the questions I asked at the beginning. Do you think that this, was truly over a camel, or do you think this conflict is essentially caused by bitter feelings left over from previous meetings?
I definitely think there were bitter feelings, and I think if just the camel had died, I don't think a war would have started over that. It definitely sounded like a jealous mom was like, I can't believe you hit my car. You beat him up. And so,
It's really, yeah.
And so, but the beating up went way too far. And it was kind of done in, a very, from what I know about history, stabbing someone in the back is very, very disrespectful. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that's really what set it on the path to, war, was the fact they stabbed this dude in the back, Yep. I think if he would have been all right, I get it. We were in your area, and that was our camel. Let's just duel it out. And if they just dueled, I think it would have been fine, if it was a mutual duel, they'd just, both deal with their grievances that way, and whoever won the duel was, in the right. Because they both did wrong, Clearly, they should have known the rules of the other tribe. And, you always hear stories about, you tell your mother-in-law or whatever, hey, don't come over to our house and shit talk or whatever, and then she comes over anyways and starts shit talking, and you're like, this is not cool.
Yeah, I told you not to do this so many times. I'm certain that's what happened here too. I'm positive the Tugleafs have been like, hey, don't let your camels just fuck around with our camels. It will die.
You know what? We warned you.
Kulaib was cat button. He was Kulaib was known to be very territorial and protective of his shit. It was a well-known fact.
Yeah.
And Al-Basus was like, nah.
It's like when you live minimalistic and then your in-laws come in, they just leave you a ton of gifts. And you're like, what? I don't want this in my house. Get this shit out of my house.
Yeah. This is fucking annoying to have. So, I agree with you. I agree with you with all of that 100%. That's honestly my thoughts and feelings on it as well. I think the camel was a big instigator. And again, you're right. Hey, they bumped my fucking car. Go beat him up.
I really think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just some Karen didn't know when to stop, and
all describing her as a Karen. I couldn't reference some of the stories I wanted to for Al-Basus because they were all in Arabic, and I can't read it. Some of the translations though, from what she supposedly said to Jasus in the TV series I was listening to, trying to listen to, really made her sound like a fucking Karen. And she'd be like,
"That's what it seems like."
Yeah, she'd be like, "Hey, this guy is disrespecting me, man. I can't fight him. So I need you to come do it. You need to do this. And if you don't do it, you're not family. Why should I even love you? Essentially.
Yeah.
And it's whoa.
If you love me, you do
it. Yeah. And so it's fucked up.
People who really love you don't say that.
Exactly. And I know I didn't give a lot of reasons for Al-Basus to manipulate Jasus into killing her brother, into killing his brother-in-law. Because again, Jasus kills Kulaib is his fucking brother-in-law.
Yeah. He
kills his sister's husband for his aunt over a camel. So do you think that Al-Basus really was the lover of this camel? Or do you think this camel meant was more significant, or what do you think about that?
With how much bad blood is going on, I kind of think that his sister didn't like her husband at all as well. I think this was just an excuse for them to axe the husband as well.
It could be. It very well could be. I didn't find anything that directly states that. But because the marriage was essentially a blood pact or a way to force peace between the two tribes, it could also be a way to break that pact.
Oh, I see what you're thinking.
And they would want, so that way it would let them start fighting again. So,
because they all essentially lost. No one really won this fight.
Yeah, no, this is the most pointless. No one wins this battle war ever. Al-Harith gets put in and wins by getting his revenge, but he still loses almost his entire tribe too. So,
dang.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Just everything as a whole. What's your kind of takeaway from it?
My takeaway is we have not changed in thousands of years. We still fight over extremely stupid things, and you know, a lot of people don't learn from history. You know, like you always hear, and you know, all these petty fights and stuff going on, and like they're not all that different from this camel story.
They're really not. The only difference is the culture at the time essentially let them gang up more.
Yeah.
They just had more people to call upon to fight for them because of like honor and like oaths that they've like, you know, because they were the leaders of these tribes. They had to fulfill that honor or that pact. They had to go to war. I'm starting a lot of the tribesmen were like, I don't really, why?
And it's even possible that like the chieftains didn't want to go to war either, but like honor bound they have to. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, in the beginning, the Bakir tribe did try and like they tried to send Jasus as like a sacrifice.
Yeah.
But then Zir like had told them, he's like, no, I want all of your fucking heads. That's what he said to them. And at that point, they were like, okay,
well,
wartime.
Guess we're fighting.
Yeah. So, who do you think had the right to be the most pissed off for the war?
Probably the guy who was trying to like broker peace and his son was killed because of it.
Yeah, I agree. Al-Hadrith definitely did. Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's kind of a Sparta moment. You know, they send a messenger for like peace and they freaking just like murder this guy. But like everyone knows, don't shoot the messenger. Okay, just don't do it. It doesn't help anyone.
Zir found it to be a disrespect, and that's why he did it. Still, most historians agree, like, even for the time, that was fucked up.
Yeah, that was pretty extreme.
Yeah, so... and then, do you think that the ancient Sumerian redneck DNA played a role in any of this?
I don't know if the DNA did, but, like, definitely the familial, like, expectations definitely paid into it. You know,
or, like the territory, essentially.
Yeah, like, it definitely sounds like they raised their kids and stuff that you need to... maintain honor of the family. If someone disrespects me and kills me, you have to bring back our honor.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, or just disrespects you in general. You have to go and, you know, get that honor back. Or I don't know, just
they're definitely like it sounds very big that the parental debts and the debts of the tribe were pushed on the next generation.
Exactly.
You know, 40 years you could go through, I mean, during that time,
like 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah, 2 or 3 kids, you know?
Or their kids could have kids by that point.
Yeah, you could. I mean, people would have their kids as like teenagers way back when, and so you know, you could have 3 generations of people fighting that war.
Well, it's almost like America and Iraq today. The fact that we essentially did have 3 generations of people out there. Sometimes I know a few of my cousins, their father, and then like, you know, from the marriage side, the one that I'm not related to, their father's father would also have served in the Iraq War, or like was there for a little bit. Like the grandpa was there for a little bit and then left, and then their son came in, fought. Now their sons are fighting. And I'm glad we're out now, but kind of the same thing. It's kind of petty, like not a lot of reason for us to be interfering, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though. I know a lot of people can see it as like we're trying to liberate people, but at the same time, do we really need to be interfering in the politics there? I don't know. That's a hard question.
Modern history aside, like, we really should, like, parents should be looking after their youth, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, people were so selfish that they're like, no, you have to fulfill, you know, this is what you have to do. This is your destiny to save my honor and make sure that we're not disrespected.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what I was pointing out here with like the generational thing with the wars. Is like if your dad goes to war, you're expected to also be part of the military. Yeah. Luckily, that didn't happen in my family. My grandpa served in the Air Force. I felt pressured to go into the Air Force as a teenager, and I considered it, but I didn't. So, thankfully, I don't want to be a military brat. I respect the military. I respect veterans. I respect the hell of them. My brother-in-law's a veteran. You know Braden. He's ex-Marine. So, well, he's still a Marine. Always a Marine. So, super great. I think what they do, honestly, is amazing and incredible. And there's a lot of sacrifices to be made for it. I do think sometimes the leaders can be shit. Our leaders can be shit and lead us in shitty directions. And that's it. But that doesn't make our servicemen any shitty. Like, it doesn't make them shitty. It just, makes them soldiers. So, yeah. Much like most of the tribe here, most of the tribes were just soldiers fighting someone else's battle. Someone else's like battle that they should have just dealt with one-on-one.
Yeah.
So.
this could have been resolved in a duel.
Yeah, very, very easily done that way. But Zir Sadlin was like, "No, I want to kill everyone." So, yeah, I think
he was looking for an excuse.
He was right to be mad. I'm positive. Yeah, him and Al-Basus they both wanted bloodshed. So,
for sure.
Yeah. So I think in the end, the conflict really wasn't needed. It's just a dick measuring contest between two tribes at the end of the day. There's really not a lot of reasons for them to fight and die or like justify that over this quarrel. What do you guys think, though? I want to ask this to the audience. What do you guys think about this? What are your thoughts and opinions? Please send that in. I will gladly read those off on the next episode. We're going to be talking about Sir Isaac Newton and Robert Hooke, two scientists who fucking hated each other. They would talk mad shit on each other.
Is this the story about AC versus DC electricity as well?
Nick, that's Tesla and Edison.
Ah, damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
that will be episode 12. I have up to episode 20 here, so yeah, I'll just
No, spoilers. They'll find.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I kind of want to give people something to look forward to. And if you want to be on my Patreon, I will eventually let you guys pick topics. So
Okay.
you can pick topics for me to go over and research. So yeah, next episode is Newton versus Hooke. Episode 9 is going to be War of the Roses, which is what Game of Thrones was based off of. The Lancasters and the Yorks.
This was an English war, wasn't it?
Yes, it took place right after the 100 Years' War, and this is what leads to the Tudors taking over the throne for the...
I found out about this recently. I don't know much about the history, but I was watching PewDiePie do... They were doing a video with Jacksepticeye, and they were doing like a trivia of like, are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Yeah.
And one of the questions was like, what nation did the War of the Roses happen in? And so that's all I know.
Yeah, it's England, but also France was involved.
They're always involved in each other's
yeah,
politics.
exactly. Yeah, the whole area, Scotland and Ireland as well for that. I've already started preliminary research on the War of the Roses, and I have some of the research done for Newton and Hooke, but a lot of their stuff is journal entries. So
so
we'll be reading journal entries, and then I'll be making up my own journal entries to make it fun. So
Perfect.
after that, we'll do the Hatfields and the McCoys, which, if you want to be here for that as a co-host, you can. I was also planning on having Braden or my wife be here. They are direct descendants of the Hatfields.
That's way cool.
So there's also they'll have some first-person accounts for that. So that's
They were there. No, just
well,
kidding.
no, but their ancestor was directly from there, and she has journal entries. Like Maddie's grandma has.
Oh, that's
journals.
way cool.
So I'm going to be reading some of those. But yeah, that's, thanks everyone. I just want to thank everyone again for listening. Again, next week's going to be a little bit less bloody and violent. Less kids getting beheaded.
Easier to pronounce names.
Much easier. Oh my god. And then after that, much easier as well, because it's just fucking English.
Yeah.
Oh man, I probably won't be going too foreign for a while. So. Actually, let's see, when do I go foreign next? The Romans and the Carthage. Okay. Oh, Russians and the Ottomans are episode 11. That's gonna suck. But yeah, no. Please again, like, subscribe, share this with other people. Let me know what I can do better. I plan on improving my audio quality come Christmas time probably. And again, check out our Patreon if you want to get some behind the scenes stuff. I don't have anything up yet. I will be soon. But also you can check out our TikTok. I made a TikTok. Surprisingly, is popping off.
I saw it. Yeah, it's got a good amount of views.
I know. I was like, I was expecting like 10, 20 views. And
Yeah.
like 1,000. So I was like, wow. I think I
it's
figured out the
definitely
algorithm. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead, guys. Let us know. Keldon, I don't know if you like this.
Yeah, no, this has been fun. I really enjoyed being here.
Okay, that's good. So Keldon will probably show up again, and
I really appreciated learning about the dressing up as a bowl with the silicon.
that's gonna stick in your mind forever now, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get out of this, and I'll see you for the next Quarrel.
Good job, students. Proud of you. I had fun, and I hope you did too. I'll see you for the next class.